Hey, welcome back. It's Louisa Tannermunson from Feel Good Astrology with another episode or installment about Mars Cazimi in Scorpio 2023. So I've had a couple of videos up already. So the first one was a kind of free-flowing exploration of Mars Cazimi with fellow astrologer Kimberly Crow from Kimberly Crow, the channel. And she's also known as I Am Kimberly Crow. So that's quite hippie, quite transcendent in places. And definitely takes you on a journey. In my latest episode, I spoke more about Mars Cazimi, what it is, how it works, and a little bit about the cycles. You know, they go on a 2-year, 1-month cycle, a continuous one, and charted out some of the cycles and how they affected me. Also, like I spoke with Kimberly as well, so she confirmed her experiences of it. So far, if you've watched both of those, you should have quite a good feel for how Mars Cazimi works, how you can plan your next 2-year cycle of activation, direction, regeneration into your agenda. It's always worth having a few plans up your sleeve, right? So in this episode, I'm actually looking at two particular dates. So I'm looking at the date of Mars Cazimi. Now, again, like in the previous episode, I detailed all the aspects going on at the exact moment of Mars Cazimi. So it really talks about the theme of Mars Cazimi and how, like the actual flavor of this one in particular in the sign of Scorpio, which I think has a lot to do with grief and healing and a lot to do with release and letting go. And also this opportunity for us to let go of the polarity and to actually come back into some unity consciousness. So I've spoken about that and why it's so important to also consider when Mars becomes visible again. So, right now Mars is in his invisible stage where he's not seen in the sky. And so he goes visible from the 9th of January, 2024. And that is really showing how you can express Mars Cazimi through your chart. So I'm looking at all the different zodiac signs from the perspective of where does Mars Cazimi sit and which part of your life is it energizing, but also which part of your life are you needing to activate to use the Mars Cazimi energy. So how is it going to be executed, I guess, is probably a good way of saying it. When I look at each sign, I'm also going to have a look at where the previous Cazimi has left you and where the next Cazimi is coming in. So you're not looking at this cycle as a standalone. You're looking at it as part of an ongoing context from where you've been, where you are now, and where you're going. So hopefully that will be helpful. I really do recommend that you look at your particular ascendant sign. So not actually your star sign or your sun sign, whatever you call it, but your rising sign or ascendant. Now, if you don't already know it, to be fair, I think everyone that watches this channel will know what their ascendant is. But for those of you that don't, let's show you a link. So if you go to www.astro-seek.com, and then under free horoscopes, just 2 down, there's ascendant rising sign calculator. It's very quick, very easy, very instant. I don't even think you need to sign up for it, which is one of the huge benefits of using that. So it will bring up a space for you to put in your date of birth, your time of birth, and your place of birth. Press enter, and it will tell you the star sign of your ascendant or rising sign. And that's what you need to get going on this. So let's get cracking, shall we? Okay, so first of all, we're going to have a look at Aries. So if you've got Aries ascendant, here's how I think it's going to go. So with each of these, I've got the past details, the now Cazimi, and then the next one. So from Aries ascendant perspective, in the recent Mars Cazimi, you've been challenged to take action about your relationships, to understand how other people fit into your life, and also something about the projections that you've been putting on people and that they've been putting on you. So there's a lot of projected stuff going on there. I always think the 7th house is less about the partnerships and more about the projections, because it really shows us what we're not owning in our own persona. It really shows us up close and personal what we ascribe to everyone else that's not us. So everything outside of the Aries perspective belongs over here, but it's also what we're not really ready to focus on. Now, how this is manifested in the last year is, you've had the psychological change. You've been tasked to really get up close and personal about all of your attitudes towards partnership, why they don't work, what your role in that has been, and anything to do with blame, shame, guilt, and anger, which come up with, all shadow work. So I really do see that would have been quite a big theme. Now, where that's leaving you is actually in quite a good place, because this Mars Cazimi is taking place in the 8th, which I think is all about shared values. It's traditionally it's one of the money houses to do with other people's money in your life. And sure, that may well come up, if you've had somebody recently die around you, things like wills and inheritances and things like that can obviously come up. But I actually see this as more of a psychological thing. If you think Scorpio's there, ruled by Mars and also Pluto, the 8th house is a bit of a catch-all for discomfort. It's a place where nobody really talks about stuff, or we prefer not to talk about these subjects on first meeting, but it's a place of shame often, and guilt, and where we keep things hidden, where there's secrets. So all themes to do with the secrets you're holding, the shame, blame, guilt, and anger that resides within you, your regrets, and the values that other people might be holding for you that you're living up to. So other people's projections, other people's stuff that they're putting on you. A big question to be asking during this next period is, who does this belong to? And also, how can I use all of the resources available to me? So it's not just about, the resources down here that you're very comfortable in owning and taking responsibility for, but your next challenge is, how can you share your resources? And I think to do that, you absolutely have to go to a place of deep trust. And of course, if you are about to let go of any shame, blame, guilt, and anger and regret, it is going to involve a certain amount of trust and vulnerability and opening up to the next person, which this last Cazimi has prepared you for. So isn't that great? Now, how are you going to be expressing this openness and this like renewed trust and this deeper diving into sharing with the people in your life? Well, I think it's going to be expressed perfectly through the medium of your career, but also the medium of how you stand in the world, like how you are being as an adult. How are you with having a reputation? Do you care about the value you're giving in life? What's your purpose? What's your legacy? What's your destiny? All those big term thoughts. Now, if you're thinking in terms of what is my destiny and what am I leaving behind eventually, what will be remembered of me, then I think it's, it usually inspires us to go back a step or two and think in terms of, well, who am I? What am I putting out? What have I released? How free am I? So, interestingly, it completely bypasses the 9th house, which is about freedom and truth. So there are I think, sort of murmurs of that, but really, as I'm looking at this, the real step forwards for you is to let go of all those things that hold you back, all those judgments that you've got about yourself based on what other people have shared, and also the judgments about other people that you hold that keep you held back too. And as you're freeing yourself up, you are becoming the person you want to be. You're becoming the person that does leave a legacy. Now, as you're going into 2026, I really see that your legacy is coming home to roost. It's got the opportunity to grow so much more than you ever believed possible. It's like you're almost drawing an even bigger line. And from there is this sense of coming home. There is this sense that actually I've achieved almost like my real opus. It's like I have absolutely attained my goal and my purpose in life. It is a big coming back down to yourself, coming back round, going back inwards. So, also as part of this ongoing 4-year cycle, you've got 2 years really coming out and into the world, and then slowly coming back into yourself with a feeling of completion and with a feeling of perfection. So there you go, Aries. If any of that is kind of matching your already kind of dearly cherished goals that you have for your life, then see how you can use the momentum of this Cazimi to really release yourself from past baggage, and to supercharge yourself in a really free and liberated way towards what you would class as being your legacy. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, and let's move on to Taurus. So Taurus, so again, we're going to start from the past and how it's prepared you for where you are now. So the past Cazimi was actually in the sign of Libra, which is kind of funny because during that time we also, you know, you also had the North Node going through your first sign. You had your you had your South Node going through the seventh house. So, like in this last period, whilst you were really starting from the perspective of the sixth house, which is all about getting all your ducks in a row and feeling quite organized, getting a better sense of your health and your I think desire to get your life working in a way that was fit for purpose. This, I think, was really expressed through the medium of your relationships. And so, for instance, you wouldn't have been able to get your life in order without really checking in with your relationships and without actually realizing there's probably more space in your life for your relationships, or that the boundary between what you have and what they have is not tweaked somehow. I think that was where the real magic and a lot of the action was taking place for you. And of course, that also fits in with work and how your work and the balance between what you do and where everyone else that's working around you meets you. That would have also been a place of deep interaction and deep learning. Now, given that you had the South Node going through this area at the same time, this would have been a real point of learning for you, because the people showing up in your life during that Mars Cazimi would have been teaching you something that actually has been part of a cycle, an ongoing cycle. It's come up again and again and again and again. Now, as you are moving forwards with this Mars Cazimi, what I really like about this is you're really free from the energies of that, North and South Node. It's like that's kind of gone from your mind a little bit. And so, yes, you are starting to get clearer and stronger relationships with the people in your life, and possibly new people are coming in. This is a really dynamic time for you to shift in new company, because you've learned a lot of lessons about the kinds of people you want in your life. And the really beautiful thing about this is the best way you're expressing your love and connectedness and joy and forward planning with the people that are dear to you is through the medium of your adventures and through the medium of your expansion. So how are you expanding right now to really feel connected with other people? Now, this expansion isn't necessarily in terms of moving away or learning. Higher study often features highly there, but it could be that you're meeting people from a different ethnicity, from a different language, different culture, that you're moving in slightly different waters. Our politics often change with cycles, going through the ninth house, as do our philosophies, our beliefs about life and death and religion and all that jazz. So I actually think that, this next cycle is very much about your relationships, but it's about the specialness, the uniqueness of these relationships. And the more you allow difference and excitement and adventure and an expansion to feature in your relationships, the further you'll go. So if you can use that in some way to energize your life and your life plans, I think you'll be onto a winner. Ultimately, as you go into the next round from 2026, you've got this Mars Cazimi coming in again in the sign of Capricorn in your ninth house of adventure and excitement and expansion. And it's going to be connecting you to the 11th house. So there's this very strong message of sociability, of, where the strength of your relationships and your joy to expand is leading in a future direction of community, of like even stronger networks where you might be part of something very exciting, some kind of forum or I can't remember the word for them now, but these great big powerful movements, I would say. The 11th, I think, is a house that moves us, it inspires us. So there is something much, much bigger than you that's already starting to manifest in the future. And so what I would say is, this is the time to really think, if I was going to manifest something really huge that, was going to move, engage, touch, and inspire people in the future, where would I start? And you start right here, right now. So I hope that's helpful for you, Taurus ascendant. On to Gemini. So Gemini, in this last Mars Cazimi period, you were really focusing on what you were really birthing. So it's a real time of checking in with the things that you love, the people that you love, creating a new feeling, a new sense of fun, a new sense of kind of a romance. Like it's romantic, isn't it, when we're in the phase of a new start and when we're getting passionate about really birthing something. So, all things to do with your creation and what you're passionate about were really, really strong. And there was the pull for you to somehow bring that passion into your real life work and into your real day to day. And I wonder how you did with that. I mean, it could be, the start of a relationship that manifests into, a living lover. It could be, the start of conception and birthing a child. It could be all those kinds of things. But the real learning for you was to birth and integrate into your life. Now we're starting from this place here of our day-to-day living, our health, our work. The real kind of rhythm of our life is really emphasized with this Mars Cazimi in the 6th house. And the more you are able to integrate this vast energy into your life and allow it to smooth it, allow it to find its natural rhythm, allow it to speed up, and allow the intensity to really clear out any of the rubbish in the way you're living, and to really create a life that is slick, that is fit for purpose, that has a kind of a beautiful sound and a resonance to it, where your health gets infinitely stronger, where you're letting go of anything that might be inflaming and allowing this kind of regeneration to take place. All of that is leading you into, I think, a even stronger position whereby, you're not doing this kind of physical and health-based regeneration, but you're actually going to be moving into a waters of a spiritual, emotional, and psyche-based regeneration. And that's what's coming up in 2026. So what I would absolutely say is, what you've been birthing is a new you. And, in this 2-year period, you've got the chance to, get all of your physicality, like your home, the way you go about your day, your week, the way you move in your life, the way you feed yourself, etc. All of the sort of very sort of physical outputs. You're cleaning up your act. You're getting a much better sense of loyalty to yourself. And, this will have an intended knock-on effect of really clearing the decks so that you are absolutely free, with the outcome of being able to achieve and feeling that, there's absolutely nothing holding you back from this earlier birthing. So this is a really strong part of the creative cycle. It probably doesn't sound so exciting just because anything in the 6th house sounds, and this might be because my 6th house is I see it as a bit boring. So I may very well, I tend to ignore this area in my own life. This is like, it's that kind of energy I don't really focus on. So if I don't make this sound inspiring, please forgive me. I'm actually seeing this as, kind of growing up. This is a growing up, a maturation of your energy, so that your next big step is even more beautifully laid out, ready, waiting for you to dive right in. So anyway, Gemini, I hope that's really helpful for you in your goals ahead. Cancer then, let's see. So over the last year, you've been really getting your life right, definitely at home. And because you've been making these really big changes at home, it's allowed you to have a lot more time to get more creative, and to be able to make more. You've had a greater capacity to to absolutely bring your creations forward. What I really like about this position now is you are taking your creations in this next Cazimi period into more people. It's reaching a further yield. Your reach is just so much more powerful now, which I just think is amazing. And you're able to touch and move and inspire people with the passion that you have in your life. Now, where is this leading? I think it's leading to a much greater sense of clarity and freedom and knowledge. So really what I'm seeing is you've got clearer about yourself and what you're really passionate about. And in this next 2-year period, what I really see is that you're working on engagement. You're engaging people into your vision, you're engaging people into what you're creating, and boy, can that be really, really powerful. So Cancer, if I was in your shoes in this 2-year ahead period, I would definitely think in terms of how can I have a greater reach? How can I have greater influence? How can I have more fun with the people that I'm working with? Because it is about the people, like the output, the way your creativity is moving. It can't move now unless you have other people involved. So it's really important that, at this time in your sort of creative journey, that you're not holding it all in for yourself, but that you're moving it out and allowing it to grow, because it can't grow without the other people. The other people are like the air to your project. So I really, really hope that you're able to release some of the creativity that you've been storing up there, and let it out into the big world. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for you, Cancer ascendant. And let's move on now to Leo. So Leo, yeah, in the last Mars Cazimi period, what I really notice is that you have absolutely managed to reach further than you realize in terms of building a community around you and getting that real good sense of belonging. This third house, your ideas, you've been communicating, the way you have created relationships with people and trust and solid bonds has been really quite good. And it's really allowed you actually to feel a greater sense of belonging. So, there's been less emphasis on your actual home and your family life, but more of a feeling of satisfaction, like a deeper satisfaction, because everything is working really nicely. It's like you've got a sense of really great grounding. It's worked really beautifully. Now you're able to focus your energies and your output and that sort of sense of groundedness and get even stronger in your life. And this is an essential part, really, because you are coming back up this journey, on this kind of ascension journey. And actually, you can't really do it unless you get even better habits, even stronger habits, even stronger health. So for you to feel that greater sense of belonging, and for you to really get that sense that your home is your castle, and that all of your childhood behaviors that obviously come from this area, this really does encapsulate our childhood, and the mysteries of how we were raised and our relationships with our parents and stuff like that. All of this gets stronger by us practicing good routines, practicing a bit of normality. I mean, let's face it, the Leo ascendant, far be it from me to say, Leo ascendant, it's time to practice some normalcy, because really that's the last thing on your mind. You're normally sort of practicing, having fun and raising the bar and following your own unique thought pattern. But actually, in this two-year period, I think it's really important for you to get even stronger with how you order your life, and you'll actually notice that you're able to do so much more, which will actually thrill you. You'll be able to maximize your efforts. So a lot of your dazzle won't just fall on the ground. Your dazzle will be captured by everyone else. Now, where this is ultimately leading you to around 2026 is shared investments. By getting a bit normal and by allowing a normal rhythm to flow in your life, you're setting yourself up for greater possibilities with investments, shared investments, and engaging people to help you. There will be people that see, oh yeah, this person's very, they're actually quite organized, and yet they're also a fantastic communicator. They've got all that Leo dazzle. Do you know what? I might invest in this person. This is really creating the basis for any kind of sponsorships, any kind of, where someone almost adopts you and helps you out. So this is part of a much greater plan for you to rise up, but not rising up on your own. You're able to rise up with help from some very influential people. So I hope that's of help to you, Leo ascendant. And let's now move on to Virgo ascendant. Okay, so for those of you with Virgo ascendant, this is really capturing a new belief in yourself. So in the last couple of years, from 21, the end of mid-October in 2021, the Mars Cazimi was in the sign of Libra, which is in your second house. Now, second house is often just seen as a place of money. And yeah, I agree. It's where we tend to spend a lot of time, focusing on our own wealth, on our own ability to find resources. But I also think it's a time for us to find our value, like what value do I bring to the world? How am I showing up? And how can I bring more value? How can I bring my value to myself rather than giving it out all the time? So I do think there's a definite lesson in a understanding your true value and what you mean to the world, like why you are important, like getting to the USP, your unique selling point, and not selling yourself too short. But I also think it's a place of humility as well. So you realize that yes, you have true value, and you also recognize that you're part of an ecosystem, and we all have our value. So I really do see that you've been on a journey of values, and as you've been doing that, actually it's been bringing you into a sense of community, into a sense of other people, into a sense of the needs of the people that you might want to share your value with. So you've been basically in the last couple of years carefully and quite cleverly building up value with other people within your community. Now that might be your local community where you are seen as the salt of the earth kind of person, where people really are building a lot of trust in you and a lot of faith in you. But it might also be that you've been able to show your value in online communities. You might be teaching principles, but I really see it as a place of, gaining trust with people in your life. Now, we got Mars Cazimi starting from this place of the combined value that you have given the world and you've shown the world, where you've absolutely gained trust in people. And now you're able to get more creative. And so what you're being called to do, and the kind of energy that you can use in this next 2-year period, is to think, okay, so I've got the trust of people. I'm able to communicate with quite a compelling message. I'm engaging people. People like me. Now I can get really creative. I can start to do some of the things I really want to do. I can share some of the things I want to do. And of course, the fifth house is also about your creations, not just like creating content on YouTube like I'm doing, and no doubt countless others are, but it could be that you're getting more creative in your job. You might actually want to be creating a child, or enjoying the creation of a romance, which also comes up in the fifth house. This is all about what you're absolutely passionate about. And so your passions can come to the fore. It's your time. It feels like you don't have to work so hard anymore because people have the measure of you now. Things are coming easy, like a lot more easily to you right now. And that's why you can afford to put your feet up a little bit and actually take a moment or two to tune into what really lights you up. What do you really love doing? What is absolutely at the core of who you are? I really, really do feel like that. And actually, like with Virgo ascendant, you've got Mercury is your ruling planet, and that's going retrograde in December. So right at the start of, this Mars Cazimi, a month in, before Mars has even risen, you've got this Mercury retrograde. This is a really good time for you to rethink your strategy and really decide where you are wanting to create some more value, and something that's going to last into the next epoch. Because after that, you're going to be going into another phase where your creations are then being shared, and where you're bringing people into the creative process more and more and more. So yeah, this is a great big cycle of trust that I see you in right now, Virgo. And actually it's I think it's good. What I see here is that you're coming out of um uh, maybe the tendency to fall into support roles where you're supporting people and doing a lot of the donkey work, and actually you're coming into a place where you're being seen as a unique creator, and I think that's a good thing. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, Virgo ascendant, and I hope this cycle works really nicely for you. So let's have a look at Leo now. Sorry, Libra. Let's have a look at Libra. So for those of you that have had you've got Libra ascendant, this last Cazimi in the last couple of years has been a bit of a turning point. This will have supercharged the sense of who you are and really given you a bit of a shot in the arm. I mean, let's think about it. In my own personal experience, the last 2 times I've had a Cazimi in my first house, I've completed on projects. I've got more independent. That has been a really, really strong market, is this desire for independence and a desire to do what I want to do and not to compromise, which is an interesting one for you, Libra, because obviously you're ruled by Venus, and having Mars, which is a completely different energy, activated in your first house, is a very, very strong, a strong calling to actually practice a bit of self-indulgence and self-discipline and self-interest. So it's less about, being fluffy and being collaborative and this, that, and the other. And there's nothing to say you can't be, but only be collaborative once you've sorted yourself out. Really, I think this last lesson for you has been in taking charge of who you are, so that you are left in this perfect state now to pick up the reins from the second house and into the fourth. So let me explain a little bit about that. So in this last 2-year period, I really see that you've taken self-interest, like you've got much clearer about what's for you and what's not for you. And I think that was really needed, so you've got used to clearly asserting what your needs are. And if you're in a situation where you can't get your needs met, then it would have been quite easy for you in those 2 years to say, well, maybe you're not meant to be in my life. Goodbye. Thank you. So anyway, as you're in this second house, you're now starting to build value about who you are, and also to charge a bit of money or earn a bit of money based on what you've learned about yourself. So, just to go back to this last period where you were getting clearer, bolder, more assertive, following what brings you joy, and actually not letting people take you off your joy, you have probably had some knock-on effects in terms of how you work, how you earn, how you dazzle, and, probably attracted quite a lot of interest to you. Now you're in the fantastic phase of developing a more regular income, developing an ambition to earn more, and also developing a way of raising the bar for yourself. It actually feels like it's time now to recognize your true value and to stand firm in that value. Now, the knock-on effect of this is actually, if you don't do this, your home is likely to suffer. Now, I don't mean to say that in a scary way, but the fourth house, the way you're expressing yourself, the way this needs to come out is the fourth house is your home, it's your castle, it's your stability in life. And so you're revaluing yourself and allowing other people to see your full value, because if you don't, your security is affected. So, as I see all this joining together, I realized that the last phase was in toughening you up. so that you can build a lot more stability for yourself. So the big lesson here for you right now, Libra, is know your value and don't be afraid to state your value and to say, no, this is what I'm worth. This is actually what I'm worth. And you know why? I know, because if I can't earn this, if I can't be seen as valuable enough in this way, how am I going to survive? So all of your, when you're informing people about the work you do, it absolutely has to pay you. It has to be able to cover your bills. So if you found yourself in recent times in a way of life that is not really supporting yourself, often, especially people that are people pleasers, we often work more for others than we do for ourselves. We might charge less for our services, even though that might be robbing us of our own security. That is changing in this period. So this is you getting really clear that you deserve stability. And then from that is coming a place of greater synchronicity and output. You're going to be able to, from 2026, your output and your ability to create more, to do more, to enjoy more is on the rise. So I hope that's helpful intel for you, Libra. Right, on to the man of the moment, which is Scorpio ascendant. I'm a Scorpio ascendant, so I'm quite excited by this. Now, this is whole sign, and this is really saying, the first house, we've got the Cazimi here, and it's going to be expressed through the third house. Now, I know that actually in my birth chart, if I compare the position of the Cazimi to when Mars goes visible, Mars actually goes visible in my second house. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at yours. But this forecast is really based on the whole sign template. Okay, so in terms of the Cazimi period that you're going through right now, I just want to take a step back, first of all, Scorpio, because what's really important is to understand that you've been on quite a tough personal journey in the last couple of years. So, for instance, the Mars Cazimi, when it occurred before, it was in your 12th house. It was absolutely activating everything to do with your fears, your insecurities, all the things you don't like about yourself, all the things you can't face about yourself, all the things that are kept really hidden, very secret. It has also been a time when your intuition has sparked up in an incredible way, like a really, really strong way. And so with that sort of sparking up of your intuition, coupled with the fact that you're actually facing yourself, it could have actually shown up as quite threatening in terms of feeling satisfied. I imagine you'd have pulled back a little bit from pushing yourself forwards. Now, at the same time as that's been going on, so this kind of really deliberate self-inquiry going on, you've been tasked or encouraged to express it through being yourself. And so it's like you've had to work out who you are and what you're about by being who you are in a very real and physical way. So, what I really see is, like, in the last period, you have absolutely been practicing radical forgiveness, radical healing, and a radical transformation about you as a person, and letting go of the past, really, really saying goodbye to these old patterns. Now where you find yourself, the Mars Cazimi is activating your first house. It's time for you to rise and shine. It's time for you to shine your light. It's time for you to absolutely feel totally motivated, completely own your own power. Now, that involves getting your body sorted out, because the first house also represents how we look and how we are in our body. Is our body working properly? Have we got any pockets of inflammation? Is there a nice flow in how we're processing everything that we see, we hear, we taste, we smell, we drink? Everything that is coming into us, is it processing? Is it moving through? I do really see the first house as being a place of movement, And of course, you need to be healthy and have vitality to have that sense of movement. And of course, Mars here is going to absolutely create a sense of momentum. So, if you have got goals to redefine who you are, how you're seen, redefine your brand, your image, the idea of who you are, if you're kind of known for being master of one thing, but actually now you recognize there's a new you coming, this is the time to do it. This is a natural time of endings and a natural time of moving forwards with your goals and saying, no, it's time for me to put myself first. Now, how this is expressing itself. So you're going to be practicing this by actually communicating this out into the community. You're going to be practicing your new self, your new brand, your new image, and practicing your health. And you'll know you've got there because are you engaging people? Is there a community building around you? Are you getting a sense of belonging? Are you building trust with people? Are people really picking up your true value? These are all really strong themes. Now, if you're answering yes to all of those, then you know you're on the right track. So absolutely, if you have Mars Cazimi here and it's coming into your third house, it's energizing your third house. The real lesson here is to, you know, allow people to see your hand, allow people to know the you that you are creating right now for yourself. Allow people to see the possibility you're creating so that they can get involved and that you can belong to the community and share your ideas. In the next season from Mars Cazimi in 2026, your engagement that you've created with the people around you is going to allow you to get even more creative than you are now. So it's like the more you put into creating trust with the people around you, the greater your output and the greater you are going to be able to deep dive into the things that you're really passionate about. Really, what you're doing is setting up all the structures to be supported in life to just explore what makes passion, what makes life passionate for you. So I absolutely think this is a fantastic time. And I really wish you well with that. On to Sagittarius ascendant then. So if you've got a very strong Sagittarius ascendant, this is going to be an interesting one because, this Mars Cazimi is skipping over your house altogether. Now, what does this mean? I think it actually skipped over there last time as well. Now, it's not to, you could get upset about this. And I'm actually a Sagittarius myself. And I would, I urge you not to get upset about it and just think of the benefits. So first of all, in the lead up to this current Cazimi cycle, the last place that was highlighted was your ability to network, your ability to dive right into new relationships, to collaborate at a much deeper level. And in doing so, really get that sense that there is almost a philanthropic sharing, but that you're part of a much bigger network, a much, much bigger network than you can possibly imagine, that everything can be sustained from. Everything to do with friendships has been highlighted. Now, the 11th house is also where we find our stepchildren or in-laws and things like that. So you may well find that, other people have been coming in as well. And so you all have, I'm sure, been tasked to refine your relationships. And how you've known about your development has really impacted your internal thinking, the way you process things. So, everyone with a Sagittarius ascendant, you've been through this almost through your networks. You've been learning about yourself. So through the strength of your connections and through the layers of collaboration that you have with people, the desire to compassionately and kindly congregate and to almost create a much stronger energy in the world that is really felt by people. I mean, you've been in a place of holding energy and holding light within your networks. And this has really informed you about yourself. It's really given you a step into who you really are. It's really helped you dig deeper into your purpose. And I think that's been really quite beautiful. Now you're coming from that place of your renewed purpose. You're coming from that place of your renewed understanding about your psychology, what makes you tick, what you avoid, what you can't face, but now what you've learnt to face. And all of that is coming into play to help you really see your true value. Now, isn't that great? Because, most of us have to go to psychologists and counselors and do hypnotherapy and this, that, and the other to get to those levels. But actually, in this last year, what's really been playing out is this absolute deep and questing inquiry into yourself. You've actually been doing a lot of the work yourself, even if you have had hypnotherapy and healing sessions and stuff like that. You have actually been your own medicine. You've been sort of diving into yourself. And now where you are is you're coming from quite a stable base. You actually feel quite together. You actually feel like it's really cool when you've looked at all of your vulnerabilities and you faced them head on. What else is there to fear? It's almost like a little death that you've been through. You've like part of your ego has kind of died away, and it's given you the chance now to really, really see your true value and to communicate it so beautifully, and for people to really feel it and to connect in with that. So all of this is going to be expressed through your ability to earn more, receive more. It's about receivership. I guess at some level, in knowing yourself and really truly accepting yourself and seeing you for who you are, you've got better at getting your needs met, because now you're unafraid to receive things. You might see where you've put off receiving because of some old guilt, shame, blame, or anger or something. But actually in this period, you're kind of over that. So if I was in your shoes in this 2-year period, Sagittarius, I would absolutely remind you of the power of receiving, the power of receivership. Lord knows you've been giving a lot in the last couple of years, and you are like one of the world's natural optimists. So you've been giving so much, and now you're coming into this time of receivership. And to the direct level that you allow yourself to receive, you will actually receive so much more. So it's like you don't have to worry about giving all the time. You've already kind of started the momentum. It's going to come to you, and it's impossible just to keep receiving and not give. I absolutely feel that you're going to have the chance to receive so much more than you're expecting. And of course, in receiving that, you'll be able to give so much more as well. Now, where is this heading? I see this as heading into a much greater sense of stability, which actually helps you feel like you're coming home. And so this is actually quite a good way to be. Your trajectory actually is going into a place of peace. So there you go, Saji. I hope that that's a helpful update for you. Let's move on to Capricorn now. So Capricorn, let's have a look at the Cazimi. So in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of emphasis in terms of how much impact you have in the world. Like, are you really happy with your impact? Have you achieved as much as you were hoping to? I'm not entirely sure. I guess a lot of it will, you'll see the results of it according to how collaborative you've been. Because in this last 2 years, you've learned that actually, yes, you can go quite far on your own, but actually you can go much further. It might take a bit longer sometimes, but you can go much, much further when you're working with other people. And I think that's been the thing that you've been learning actively over the last 2 years is, how can I engage more with other people that are doing similar things, maybe not the same thing, but you've been reaching further because you've been connecting into like-minded people. Now, this next period is actually quite an exciting one. This is one that I would absolutely listen up to if I was in your shoes, because in this next Cazimi period, you're encouraged to start from the place of collaboration and joint values, a shared vision, and a really great and big and wide and broad vision. Like, make your vision as broad can be, with really, really great people, because actually in the whole entirety of the vision you're holding with others and collaborating, it's actually bringing you really forward. It's bringing you really absolutely to the center stage. It's bringing you to you. And actually, a Capricorn ascendant has a very strong energy to succeed, to have a great reputation, to be seen as the best, to get to the top, and all that jazz. And so what I'm really seeing is you're actually in a really good cycle to achieve just that. And to be fair, you had it, you know, 4 years ago, when you were being encouraged to be in your career, you would have already felt like this sense of achievement, like you were already on track to achieving that. And then in this last 2 years, you've learned that actually, if you want to go further, you had to involve more people. Now you're involving more people. It's bringing a lot of reputation, a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation to your door. So if I was in your shoes right now, I would be really making sure I'm working with the top people and the right people, and making sure that the person that I choose to collaborate with and the people that I choose to have in my life are absolutely of the same moral and value-based background as I am. The reason being is, it looks like all of your efforts are coming to your door. So you don't want to get hooked in with anyone with something that feels a bit shady, that doesn't quite feel a good match to who you are. So absolutely get the right partners and collaborators. I would also say that the 11th house, as far as I see the 11th house, I see it as a place of the law of attraction. I really see that it's a place where we are co-creating with the universe as well. So again, I would encourage you to make sure that all of the goals that you're working towards really feel like a good fit for your inner morality, your inner purpose, and your inner legacy. Because, like I say, it is coming to your door in 2 years' time, from 2026. And in that time from 2026, you can expect your reputation to come up, because you'll be expressing it through the third house of community and trust, and a shared belief in you. So Capricorn ascendant, this is actually one of the transits you've been waiting for. And of course, during that time, Pluto will finally get out of your first house, and allow the full transformation of who you've become to really, really take center stage. So it's all up to you now. It really is in your hands. So I hope that's helpful for you to know. Right, moving on to the next one, which is Aquarius. So Aquarius ascendant, if you've got Aquarius ascendant, I mean, this is a huge time for you, because Pluto is coming into your first house. First of all, let's not forget that. I mean, that's a pretty big a pretty big thing. And let's also remember that at the time of the new moon in Scorpio, which was just happening right before this Mars Cazimi period, Mars was in opposition to Uranus. And of course, that is your one of your ruling planets. So, it's fair to say it's a time of change right now, with Pluto going in your first house, and, with this Cazimi starting off with Mars in opposition to your main planet. It's big. This is a time where you may well have felt quite separated. And there's this very deep calling for really strong transformation. And of course, really strong transformation usually comes with a form of separation at some level, because it's only when we can really kind of step outside of ourselves, or step to the side of ourselves, or see us through the eyes of someone else, that we can really see what's going on, what patterns are playing. And so, yeah, it often creates a bit of separation in our mind body system, because we are in two minds. We are there's a part of us that wants to stay put, and there's a bigger questing part of us that wants to move forwards. So yeah, this is a big time. Anyway, in the 2 years leading up to this, The previous Cazimi was in the 9th house and expressed through the 10th. What this is really indicating is in the last couple of years, you expanded really rapidly. And, some of that might come through your political beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, and your learning. It could have also come from some kind of higher calling, from a religious calling, also through some study you were doing, also through the people in your life. You may well have moved. I migrated during one of these phases from the 9th to 10th. Or you might have had people from a different culture coming in. All of those things serve to enrich us and to make us look stronger and deeper and further away. Now, this would have been expressed in your career. So, all the things you were learning in this last two-year period had an effect on how you worked and how you stood in your world and the reputation you had, what people knew about you. And so this new Cazimi period is starting from your reputation, your place in the world, that sense of your legacy, that sense of, okay, I know why I'm here now. I'm here to do this. My sense of myself is this, and I'm really motivated and committed to it. So, you're starting from that position of kind of propelling yourself and showing the world who you are. It's kind of like there's no hiding. And here's the interesting thing, because as you're showing the world who you are, you're actually going into a place of realizing what you are hiding. And this is going on at the same time as Pluto's going into your first house. So actually, I think this 2-year period, if I could be so bold as to suggest that you might choose to do some deep searching into yourself, because it feels like, for all intents and purposes, you are in this really big stretching time of moving forwards in your career, and that feels fantastic. More people will learn about you and more people will hear about you, and your reputation has the chance of really spreading beautifully. So that's all really good for you, Aquarius. And all of this kind of outward success and the sense of being known and being understood at a public level, all of that sense is actually taking you into a deep sense of inquiry. You're learning more about yourself. And some of your darkness is coming up. Now, that's not to say that you're a dark person. I mean, we all have darkness. We all have it. And given that you've got Pluto going through your first house, that's working hand in hand with that. So, I would say, during this time when you're reaching further afield, even if it feels really good and really, really safe, now is probably the time to consider getting a mentor, or getting a mentor that is a really good career mentor, but one that really looks at your underlying psychology, or at, having a spiritual mentor, or having some kind of psychological realization, working actively to face all those parts of you that you maybe don't feel very confident about. Because the great news is actually in the next period from the 26th, from 2026, you're starting from that place of, how vulnerable have you been to yourself? How much do you know yourself? And if you really know yourself at the end of this 2-year period, because of the success you've been enjoying, and you've got to know the bits that maybe you've kept hidden, you'll be in a much better place to capitalize on this earning potential that's showing up from 2026. You see, this career path is going really, really well, and that could absolutely bring in more earnings. And if you ignore the stuff here, like the things you're afraid of, the things you can't face, you're not going to be as well equipped to be completely freely in a place of energetic receivership when 2026 comes along. So what I would say is, really enjoy this coming into the limelight, and to be trusted and seen as a beautiful resource. And while you're rising high and flying high and all that stuff, also attend to the underlying stuff, and you'll be fine. So there you go, Aquarius. Good luck with that one. Have a good 2-year period ahead. Finally, then, Pisces, let's have a look for all you Pisces ascendant people. So it feels like you're in you're in like a place of endings. That feels, I feel that, yeah, you are in a place of endings, and in a place of possibility as well. So this last period, moving from the 8th to the 9th, this last Cazimi period really helped you to let go of lots of things about you that really weren't true. All those things that you'd always known about yourself, the reputation in your family that people have put on you. You'd probably thought to some level that some of those things were true. And actually, in this last 2-year period, you've realized, no, I've got a different perspective. I've got an expanded perspective. In this last 2-year period, you've stepped outside of your normal home life. You stepped outside of your normal world, outside of your normal narrative, and it's spread to so much more information. You've learned so much more about yourself in such an empowering way. So, as you start this Cazimi period, from the 9th house, which really absolutely puts you in a place of expansion, potential travel, in a place of high-end learning, of mentorship, of teaching, of changing your basic spiritual, religious, political values. There's a really big mind shift that's going on for you right now that's absolutely elevating and taking you absolutely to these amazing places. So from that, I'm really excited for you. But this is also going to be expressed in this year ahead through a new sense of companionship, a new sense of a tribe. The more expanded you are and the more you let go of all those old beliefs about yourself, the more you let go of your old image and allow the new expanded you to come forwards, the more easily you find a tribe that absolutely reveres you, celebrates you, helps you become more of your potential, helps you to see more of the possibilities. And you may well find that in this time, that your best way forwards is to collaborate with people. That the more you collaborate with people, the more you feel expanded. So, the more you're helping others within a sort of similar value system that you absolutely aspire to, the more you are coming on and expanding. And you can't really go too far wrong. Now, where is this heading? Well, from 2026, this is taking you back to yourself, and it's taking you to this new place of expressing who you are. So even though it feels like you're joining a sort of collective vision in this next 2-year period, that next 2-year period is giving you, like, that expanded vision is giving you the confidence to really know who you are, in this from 2026. So this feels like a very important step, because as you're coming back round to this first house from 2026, it feels like you can make real big cuts and really let go of the old you whilst starting a brand new cycle. So there you go, Pisces ascendant. I hope that's helpful for you. So there we have it. That was my forecast for the 12 signs of the zodiac for this next 2-year period. I hope that was helpful for you. I will be talking next week with astrologer Alexandra Jowett, and we're going to be doing a sort of even deeper dive into the psychology of Mars Cazimi and the cycles, and who knows where else it's going to go. She really loves a deep dive. She's another Scorpio ascendant like me. So, and we've got, this shared sort of Pisces energy as well. So I think this is going to go real deep. So if this has been of interest and you'd like to learn more, then stay tuned for next Wednesday when something new comes live. But anyway, lots and lots of love to you and your journey ahead. And I hope this Mars Cazimi is every bit as successful as I think it's going to be for you. Lots of love. Bye for now. Mwah.